everyone, this is Cassy, and the critical incident I will be discussing is the grief retreat I attended in March of 2022 through an organization called Onsite. I would first like to start by reading the following quote. "Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love." My daughter's name is Celia. She preferred to be called CJ. My beautiful son and CJ's brother, his name is Colin. CJ was extremely creative and artistically gifted. She cared deeply about others and was wise beyond her years. CJ had a love of nature and a love of animals. She would often bring home wounded animals and nurse them back to health. She was introspective, thoughtful, and a loving and loyal friend. She was adventurous, athletic, curious, and had a great sense of humor. CJ was full of surprises and always kept me on my toes. My daughter experienced severe bouts of depression, and at times, CJ thought about suicide. She was visiting a psychiatrist and therapist regularly. I tragically and traumatically lost my daughter, CJ, who took her life just 2 short years ago. What I wouldn't give to be able to hold her in my arms, smell her delicious smell, look into her big blue eyes and tell her how much I love her and that the world is a better place with her in it. I grieve the loss of my child daily and with all of my heart. What is a stigmatized death? Suicide is an example of a stigmatized death. Other examples include drug overdose, homicide, and mental health issues. When someone dies in a stigmatized manner, people tend to forget the life that was lived, but rather focus on the manner of death. Perceived or actual judgment related to the death can lead to feelings of shame and guilt, which may in turn lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness. What is a critical incident? A critical incident can be described as one that makes a contribution, either positively or negatively, to an activity or a phenomenon. As I had mentioned, my critical incident was a week-long grief retreat at a beautiful location called Onsite, located just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. The Onsite Foundation provides trauma-informed counseling and emotional health education that transforms individuals and communities. The Onsite Foundation is committed to providing tools, support, and a safe community for individuals who have experienced trauma to find hope and healing. The foundation provides full scholarships to ensure all persons have access to the best trauma-informed therapies and services, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. From the moment I arrived at Onsite, I felt both safe and loved. I was safe from judgment. One of the first things I noticed when I arrived at Onsite was a change in my posture. I often felt invisible, judged, or that my presence made others uncomfortable, and as a result, I began to walk with my head down. If I did not make eye contact, then it was easier to ignore the hurtful reactions from others, and I was less likely to make other people feel uncomfortable. There were 3 activities that really resonated with me during my week-long stay. In one of the activities, I was given a foam bat and a large block. It was a much-needed outlet as I swung at the block with every ounce of strength I had. I did so while screaming any emotions that surfaced. The experience was so freeing, and I felt lighter as a result. The second activity occurred one evening when we gathered around a bonfire. We quietly sat shoulder to shoulder, and some of us holding hands, while covered in shared blankets to keep us warm. It was peaceful, and the sound of the crackling fire was music to my ears. I felt embraced as part of an understanding, welcoming, and loving community. I felt grateful. Lastly, as we commenced our time at on-site, our final group activity was to collectively plant an oak tree in honor of the children we lost. While doing so, a thunderstorm descended upon us. There was thunder, lightning, and pouring rain. Not a single parent moved or sought shelter from the storm. Together we stood in solidarity and in remembrance of the children we lost, and nothing was going to stop us. The loss of a child brings with it a new perspective to how we navigate life. Nothing compares to losing a child. No amount of thunder or lightning was going to take away from the unified experience of honoring our children who had been taken from us too soon. The oak tree symbolizes longevity, strength, stability, endurance, fertility, power, justice, and honesty. According to Erik Erikson, bereavement brings new opportunities for psychosocial growth. Grief leads to increased levels of understanding of oneself and others. The death of a loved one may stimulate a process of life review and reflection on the meaning of one's life. When a person dies, the links to social identity may no longer exist for the person who remains. Thus, the survivors need to redefine themselves and establish new personal identities. Erik Erikson's 7th stage of psychosocial development addresses the notion of stagnation versus generativity. With generativity, there can be opportunities for meaningful change and transformation. This stage can create opportunities for a sense of belonging and contributing to the next generation. Stagnation occurs when an individual is unable to find a way to contribute to or make positive change. Stagnant individuals may feel disconnected from their community or with society as a whole. Characteristics of generativity versus stagnation. Let's take a moment to look at the characteristics of both generativity and stagnation. In closing, there are a few things I know for certain. I am at Immaculata University in the clinical mental health counseling program as a direct result of the loss of my daughter. I am in this program to honor my daughter, my son, and myself, and to continue to be a voice for my children by way of helping others navigate trauma and grief. I am in this program because it gives my life new meaning and a new and important purpose. The 2 photographs here are of me and my vivacious friend and roommate from On-Site's Life After Loss program. They were taken this summer when I visited her in Nashville. We have an unbreakable bond and will undoubtedly be lifelong friends. And I'd like to close with one final quote, and that People think that I have survived your leaving. What they don't understand is that I have to relearn how to survive each day. Because each day, you're still gone. I miss you, babe.